This conference will now be recorded.
Can anyone please confirm if I'm audible?
Yes, you are. I can hear you.
Thanks for the confirmation. Let me share my screen and then we'll continue the session. Okay, so today we'll see how we'll be collecting requirements for performance testing, for performance engineering, and what are the key questions that we should ask, what kind of different kind of requirements that we should gather. Okay, so we'll be covering NFR gathering from existing application point of view, and for the application that is going to be a production first time. Okay, and also we'll see how we will design volumetric and how we will design work load modeling. Okay, so let me tell you guys about these tools. Okay, though we will not go into the deep details of any of the tools, but for these tools, what we will be covering. Okay, so for JMeter, we will see all the scripting challenges that we already discussed in last session. Okay, so we will prepare a script for all the complex scenarios. Okay, after that, we will prepare a script for double underscore v function. Then we will design a script in Bean shell to write some value or some output into a CSV file or a text file. And also, as we discussed the last time, okay, if we have to manipulate a date in the time and that field is not edible on web page, then how we will put the data into the field. So we will use the date time function from Java. Then we will see JMeter recommendations like for heap utilization, okay, and master slave configuration. And after that, we will see, okay, we'll try to cover actually the interview questions from JMeter and the JMeter configuration. Okay. And after that, we will see how Nmon utility works and what is Nmon utility. Okay, so we will download Nmon utility. Okay, and we have a Linux machine. So we can see all the steps like how we will download an Nmon utility, how we can upgrade Nmon utility, the configuration of Nmon, and how Nmon utility works actually. That we will see in practical. Okay, and also we know some prerequisites like CPU should be in some acceptable range and memory should be in acceptable range before execution of a test. Correct. So we will capture CPU and memory utilization matrix before execution of the test, during execution of the test, and after execution test. Okay. So the comparison table we will be able to create with these data. Okay. And then we will see once we have Nmon logs downloaded from Linux, okay, then what we will do, how we will transfer these logs to our Windows machine, how we can analyze them, because they are logs, okay, so like a reading log is very time consuming. So we have one utility that is called Nmon analyzer tool, okay, so we will prepare report through that tool, okay, then we will get Nmon report and we'll see how to analyze Nmon reports. Okay, and with the requirement gathering phase, okay, once we will have a walkthrough on application functionality, just after that we will see how, what kind of logs, what kind of understanding we will get through Splunk dashboard. Okay, so this is what we'll be covering from tools point of view. Okay, so this is all clear. The scope, 4 tools. Yeah, you can reply through chat also. Okay. So let's start with today's agenda. Okay. Though looks like an Excel, okay, but today you guys have to prepare this Excel for all the things, so for NFRs, for uh, workload modeling, and for volumetrics. Okay. So what we will do, we'll prepare volumetrics, and we will prepare workload modeling templates today, and we will keep updating workload modeling and volumetrics. Okay, as per the requirements, we'll be capturing from our application. Okay, so first we need to understand what is NFR, non-functional requirement. Okay, this is very simple. As a functional testers collect the requirements for functionality, for functional testing, for manual testing or automation framework. In the same way, our performance testing is a non-functional testing. Okay, so requirements associated with functional performance testing is non-functional requirement. Okay, because in performance testing, okay, that is an interview question also. What are NFRs? Why it is called NFR? Okay, so the answer is performance testing is a non-functional testing. Okay, and whatever requirement we capture to do performance testing is non-functional requirement. Okay, because in functional testing, sorry, in performance testing, we do not validate any kind of functionality. Okay, we certify the performance of application. That is why this is NFR, and that is an introduction about the NFR. Then we'll see what is NFR. Okay, so what is non-functional requirement? Okay, so non-functional requirement, whatever we will be doing in non-functional testing. Okay, so we have some prerequisites required. Okay, all these prerequisites are non-functional requirements. Suppose you are going to create a script in JMeter. So what is your prerequisite? What are the requirements before starting the scripting? Your tool should be there, your application should be there, your tool should be able to communicate with the application. Okay, and an idea about the application. So, are we good till now?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks for the confirmation. Okay, so the second question comes from an interview. If you are going to apply for a lead or for a manager position, the question is like, when you can start collecting NFRs. Okay, so when we have to start collecting NFRs. Okay, NFR collection is the very first step in PTLC, performance test life cycle. The reason is, once you get a project, okay, your IT sales team gives some reference to a client, and you have to start performance testing on that application. So first you need to understand what are the challenges, what are the requirements you have to face. Okay, so NFR is the initial phase of PTLC. Okay, if we do not have a requirement, we cannot do anything. And we have a requirement. Okay, so we can work on all kinds of means all the stages of performance test life cycle. We'll see Okay, how we are going to capture importance of non-functional requirement. Okay, being a tester or being a developer, our first aim is to get acquaintance with an application, how application looks like, how application works, who is going to use this application, okay, and who are the competitors available in market, okay. Based on that, we can design baseline, we can design benchmark, we can design SLA. This is the importance of MFA. So we have to survive in the market with confidence by beating our competitors. Okay, so we should provide that kind of application. And just to certify the performance, we need to understand NFR. Okay, this is the importance of NFR. So now we'll see questions on NFR gathering from performance testing. So what we'll do, we'll update this, we'll create this template here. Okay, and after the session, I will share the template with you. So what you can do, you can also start creating this MXL in your machine. Okay. So once we are collecting non-functional requirement, okay, so we can divide NFRs in 3 phases basically. First thing, if your application is already running on production, okay, and you want to make this application better from performance side. Okay, this was the first section. Second section comes from if your application is going to the production first time. Okay, and the third section is like you are responsible for performance testing. If you are responsible for performance engineering also, okay, so you need to include one more section, NFR collection from performance engineering side. Sorry. Okay, so I would like you guys to ping me all the requirement gathering questionnaires that you have in your mind. Okay, so based on that, we'll continue. Okay, but I continue, you just keep pinging me so that we'll discuss, we'll add all the points. Okay, so first let's take existing application. Okay, so this is going to be our non-functional requirement document. Okay, here we have some questionnaires already available. So first thing comes, okay, that is your requirement number, right? Then your requirement, okay, then we'll see the response. Okay, first, as we just now discussed, okay, what we have to concentrate on, first thing, what is your application? How your application looks like. If you put the same requirement to your BA or a stakeholder, so what your stakeholder will say, okay, we'll arrange a demo on application, right? Correct, correct. Correct. What is your application? Is it a web application? Is it a web service or a microservice or a desktop based application, or it is going to be a client server architecture based application? Okay. Very nice reply from Mr. M. Chaudhary. Okay. So your question will be like, what is your application? Okay. Is it a web application? or is it a web service or microservice or desktop application, okay, or client server architecture based application. Okay, so once we received it, this is the requirement. Okay, and we have to collect a response from our BA or stakeholder. Okay, suppose they say it is a web application. Okay, then or he says it is a desktop application, any kind of application. Okay, let me mention all kind of application. Okay, for our reference, we will say web application. And what is the domain of that application? Okay. Yes, Mr. M. Chaudhary, what are the endpoints of URL? That is the right question. Okay, but we'll take this question in transaction questionnaires. Okay, so we'll cover that point in 2 minutes. Okay, once we receive this is a web application or some other application. Okay, for our reference, we are considering it as a web application. Then we'll see what is the domain of that application. If you ask me this question, then I have my website ready. Okay, this is my website. Okay, so this is a CMS configuration management system. Okay, so what I will say, my application is a web-based CMS. Now you understood the domain is configuration management system. Okay. Once it is a configuration management system, so you are going to capture some requirements from end user side. Who is going to use your application? Okay, or who is your end user? So my end user is like any merchant. Okay, like I have a retail shop. Okay, and I sell toys. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll purchase this application from eShare Trading Solution. Okay, and I modify the application as per my requirement. Okay, so I'll say the merchants are going to use my application. They are my end user, they are my customer. Okay, and after that, you have a question. Okay, okay, this is a merchant. This application is for merchant, and it is a configuration management system. Then how we can test your application? Are you going to give us a separate PT environment? Because we do not do performance testing on production environment. The reason is very simple. When you put a enormous number of user load on your application that is live, so it will affect the performance. It will affect the response time for end user. Okay, your application may crash down. Your end user will not be able to access your application at all. Okay, so it will affect hamper their business. Okay, so that is why we put this question: are you going to give us a separate environment where we have to do performance testing? Okay, so answer will be yes or no. If it is yes, okay, separate environment for PT, it is yes. So your question is, if yes, separate environment for performance testing, what is that environment? It is the staging environment, it is the shared environment. Okay, so let's add one more question. Okay, so now you will ask, it is the specifically for PT or shared environment. Okay, if we say shared, then we will not accept this environment. Okay, because we need to have a mimic of production environment. Okay, that is why we need a separate environment so that we can configure load balancer, we can configure web app DB server as per the production server. Okay, and it should not be a share environment. But there is a question for managers. Okay, if it is a shared environment, then how you will continue with performance testing? Okay, so the answer on this query is like, if it is a shared environment and the client cannot give us a separate environment, okay, there may be many challenges, budget or infrastructure or team availability. So we'll say, okay, we'll do our PT on this environment, but we need a time slot where only PT team will be accessing this environment and no other activities will be running on that. Okay. So your response can be yes or no. Okay. Now take both the things. If it is a separate environment, what is the configuration web app and DB? Okay. This question again we will be covering during understanding of application architecture. Okay. So here we have to capture response on this. How many web servers they are going to use? How many app servers are there? How many database servers are there? Okay. For time being, we say web 2, uh, web 1, app 2, DB only. Okay, before going to the next question, I'd like to get your response. Are we on the same page?
Yes, yes.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so now we collected this information: web server, app server, database server. We have one web server, we have two application servers, we have one database server. Okay. In some time, we'll see why we are collecting these information. Okay. Okay, we are fine with this step. Okay, we have all the things. We have all the server configuration. Now our next question is percent of production environment. Okay, if our performance test environment is equivalent to, not equivalent to, is it mimic to our production environment? Okay, it is on higher side or it is on lower side. Okay, so our question is like, what are the servers in production? Suppose they say in production we have two web servers, we have a 4 application server, and we have 2 database server. Okay, let me highlight this point. We'll take this point again in 2 minutes. Okay. Now, okay. Now for existing applications. Okay. For existing applications, we ask some more questions. These questions are based on the current logs available in an application. Okay. It is like the number of total user sessions per day. That means how many user sessions are available in your system for a day. Okay. Here we have to understand the two things. First is sessions. Okay. Second thing is day. Suppose your behavior stakeholder replies like 1000 user sessions we see in our application log in our day. Okay. Then what do you think? It is set for 24 hours. Or it is for working hours like 8 or 9 hours. Whenever we capture this information, total user sessions per day, and we get a response like sessions, number of sessions are 1000 a day. Okay, a day means working hours only. Okay, whenever we talk about a day, time, week, okay, it is nothing but a number of working hours. Okay, suppose 8. That means in application log, application team sees 1000 total user sessions in 8 hours. Okay, this is nothing but sessions per day. Now I'll see total number of transactions per day. Okay, these are user sessions. Now these are transactions. Okay, so first we understand what is user session and what is transaction. Suppose this is my application and I'm logged in. Logged in means I have created a user session. Okay, if I sign out and I relog in, so I create 2 user sessions. Okay, but our transaction is same, launching the application. Okay, so I'm doing one transaction twice. Okay, and also like if I logged in first time, okay, and I sign out, I created one user session, okay, and one scenario I capture. I relog in, okay, and I after login I landed on home page, then I click on merchant. I performed one more transaction. Okay, so here user sessions are 2, number of transactions are 3. Okay, so the same information we are capturing here, total number of transactions per day. Okay, suppose 1000 user sessions are creating 5000 transactions in a day. That means again in 8 hours. Okay, so we captured this information. Now we'll see how the number of unique user sessions per day. You see total number of sessions 1000. It may be one user is logging in 1000 times. Okay, or 100 users are logging in 10 times, or 1000 users are logging in one time. That we have to understand. Okay, so we put this question: total number of unique user sessions per day. Suppose we receive answer like 20. Okay, that means 20 users are accessing this application in 8 hours. Okay, and in total they logged in application 1000 times and they performed 5000 transactions in 8 hours in a day. Okay, so this is in a day, but we have to understand what are the peak hours of application. Okay, when maximum users are accessing the application, okay, they are doing all the activities. Okay, there are some hours. Okay, they call the peak hours. Like in our office, our usual time is like 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Okay, but we talk about the peak hours. The peak hours is like 10 to 11 when all the users are logged into the system and they're accessing something, they are doing something, and they're checking emails. Okay, they are into a meeting. Okay, they are in a client call. Okay, they are in some requirement discussion. Okay, so means after joining the office, after 1 hour or 2 hours, we say all the resources are occupied in some tasks that are peak hours for us. Okay, so same question we will put to our B or stakeholder. What are the peak hours for your users? Okay, so like he says, morning 9 to 10. This is like 1 hour. Okay. Okay, we have all this information. Now we have to cover something from response time. Okay, the application is already running on production, so it is very easy to identify the response time currently that application is having. Okay, but client wants us to do performance testing. That means he wants to improve the performance. Okay, so we have to understand the expectation of client from the response time. Okay, so we'll just put a very simple question. What is the SLA for you? Okay, what is the SLA in terms of response time, in terms of 90%? Okay, so that it depends actually. It varies on transaction. That we will cover in this volumetric and workload model. Okay. Okay, Dhanashri says 2 seconds. Yes, you are right, Dhanashri. 2 to 3 seconds is market standard. Okay, but it depends on application. It depends on application domain. Okay, and also it depends on various things. So that we will see. Okay. So testing in scope. Once we have these information, let me highlight SLA also. Okay. Testing in scope. Okay. Actually, for testers or test leads, it is a question. But for manager, it is an answer. Okay. That means our team, our testers, our test leads will ask this question to our manager. What kind of testing we have to perform in this application? First, performance test manager or performance architect will suggest these kind of testings to be done on your application. Okay. This response from your manager. Okay. Asked by testers and the lead. Okay. So this is what we are going to capture a non-functional requirement if the application is already running on production. Now we have discussed about the 0% of production environment, and we saw this web servers. There are two web servers for application server and the database. Okay. Now we'll understand why we have taken this point. Okay, and why we have captured this peak load and these all information. The reason is this information are coming from production. Okay, where we have this capacity. Okay, and now we have to capture all these things for our peak hours. Like 1,000 transactions are happening in 8 hours. Okay, 1,000 user sessions are observed for 8 hours, and 500,000 transactions are captured for 8 hours. And we have to calculate it for our peak hour, that is 1 hour. Okay, so whatever value comes, that comes up for this configuration that is already running on production, and we are having this configuration. It is just half of the production. So whatever number we will receive here, we will just half the number and use for our performance testing. Okay. Is it clear why we are taking these information from the work stakeholder?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay, let me save this. So these all information we captured for application running on production. And suppose we have application that is going to be production first time, then these values will not be available, right? This will also not be available. We have only these things. Let me copy this. Okay. So here we have some questions. What is the application domain? What is your application? Okay. What is your end user? The environment available for PT. Okay. If environment is available, then what kind of infrastructure capacity is going to be provided for performance testing? All the things are same. Okay. SLA, we will ask this question. What is the expected SLA when it will go to production? Okay. So here we have some response. Okay, something like 2 seconds or 5 seconds. Okay, this response we will capture. Okay, and also we will define type of testing here. Okay, once the application is going to be first time in production, then all kind of performance testing to be done on this application. Okay, the reason is we are not sure about the application. Okay, so we have to validate the application from all the angles, from load perspective, from stress perspective, from endurance, for volume, from everything. Okay, so this is the basic difference between NFR for already running application or NFR for a first time for application. Okay, and we have one more thing. We have NFR for PE, performance engineering. Okay, so we'll see why we need these information. It is very simple actually. Performance engineering is a very big umbrella. Okay, so all kind of performance testing is a part of PE. Okay, capacity management is a part of PE, asset management, and server analysis, bottleneck identification, performance tuning, whether it is hardware side or software side. Okay, scaling, whether horizontal or vertical, all these things are coming under PE umbrella. Okay, so performance testing is a part of PE. Okay, so actually when we say NFR for PE, it is not for NFR for PE, it is NFR for application. Okay, so here we have same question. What is the PET environment? Okay, but it is a bit different. The PET environment availability is yes or no. That depends on stakeholder, that depends on BA. Okay, but the thing is, if PE environment is available, so is it accessible from our machine? Okay, so it comes under network part. Okay, because in performance testing or performance engineering is the only activity where involvement of all the stakeholders, all the teams are required. Okay, when you consider some application for PE, so you have to focus on networking part, you have to focus on configuration part, server part, and bandwidth, latency, application, database, even middleware. Everyone is responsible for their work. Okay. So once we receive this question, we have a separate PT environment. So is it accessible from our machine where we have our tools like PT tool, your JMeter. Okay, APM tool, say your AppDynamics. Okay, if these are available, and what is the application architecture? Okay, so in application architecture, we are not going to capture this information. Okay, but we are going to capture every information. Like once you hit your application, okay, once you hit your application, suppose you have one URL, https suppose abc.com. What is this? Are you going to hit a load balancer or are you going to hit a web server? Okay, this we need to understand. Okay, it is not like application architecture, web, app, and DB server. What is the middleware? Okay, what is the latency? Everything we capture. Once it is captured, we see total number of load balancers are there. Even load balancers capture as part of application architecture. But we'll understand what is the load balancer they are using and what is the number of load balancers they are using. Suppose one. Okay. If it is one, that means this abc.com is nothing but your load balancer. You are hitting this load balancer and it is transmitting it to your web server. Then all the web server with host name and IP address. Suppose you have web server 1, it is nothing but your Tomcat. Okay, your host name is host PDC and IP address is 10.2.3.5. This information we need to have. Same information we need to have from application side. Okay, same information we need to have from database. Okay, also you'll see one more difference, volume. So volume we did not capture in PT requirement, but it should be a part of PT. Suppose let's say 10 terabyte available in production. Okay, and after that you would have heard about thread connection, DB connection that we need to capture. Okay, maximum thread connection in web server. Suppose 20. The maximum DB pool connection size in database to 200. And SLA in terms of CPU or memory utilization. Can you see the difference? In PT, we have SLA, but that is in terms of response time. Okay, but in PE, we have these points from CPU and memory utilization side. Suppose CPU is 65% is acceptable, and the memory is 90% is acceptable. The network bandwidth in total, suppose 20 Gbps, and per user, okay, application is having 20 connections, so we can say 1 Gbps. Okay, so all these requirement we capture. Okay, now we have to understand what can come under performance test environment and what can come under production environment. Okay, so these all questions are same for PT environment and prod environment. Okay, the variation will be like number of servers. Okay, your bandwidth, your volume, and your servers, IP address, server configuration. Okay, these things may vary, but other questions will remain same for capturing NFR for P on any kind of environment. Okay, so you guys are able to follow this? For any question? Okay, thank you. Okay, next is our volumeter. Okay, from volumetric onward, we can start our actual work. Okay, So means till now it might be some boring thing because we are working on Excel, but now onwards we have to uh, connect our application. We have to capture transactions for application, and then we have to start a scripting for our scenarios. Okay, so application understanding that we will see in next session, but today we'll see how we are going to capture some transaction level details. Okay, so let me take this volumetric part here. Okay, and we will understand it. At the same time, we will see our transactions. So let me log out from this application first. Okay, this is my application. Okay, we see. So first transaction is launching the site. This is nothing but the launching the site. Okay, so we launched the site. So our volumetric is launch. This is not transaction. Okay, this is a scenario. Okay, name of transaction nothing but a launch. Throughput or hits per hour. Suppose in production. Okay, remember one point. Volumetric we capture on the data that we are going to get from production. Okay, so all these details we are fetching from production. Actually, Splunk setup is in progress. So in next session we can see how we are capturing from a Splunk log. Okay, but today we will understand how we are going to at least capturing it. So once the Splunk is up, we'll capture the live data. Okay, here we'll see throughput or a hits per hour. Suppose it is launch is happening 1,000 times in an hour. Okay, we say 100 users are accessing it. Okay, it is daily data. Okay, so every day 100 users are logging in and they are launching application 1,000 times. Okay, but in real time you will get this information from your operation team. Now we are logging in. We just entered our username password and we signed in. Okay, once we signed in we see this page. Okay, this is nothing but an authorization page. So this thing we have to capture in our Jmeter also. Okay, it is a tricky part. We'll see login. Okay, and login is happening say 800 times by 100 users daily. Okay, that means 100 users are logging in 800 times in 8 hours. Okay, on daily basis. That means 200 times these 100 users are launching application. Okay, they might be putting username password. Okay, but they are not logging in. Then validating the site. Again, it's a part of login. And we see how many users are validating it. Okay. So we can say 800 users are validating. Sorry, 100 users are validating the site 800 times. Okay. Now we have scenarios. Okay. Home, merchant, rules, keys, interaction, groups. Okay. So today we'll capture this only merchant. Okay. So how many users are accessing merchant? Okay, just say 10,000. Okay, might be 60 users and week. That means 60 users, okay, are clicking on merchant and they are launching this page 10,000 times in a week time. Okay, that means in weekdays, in 7 days, 60 users are coming, they are launching application, they are logging in, they are validating the site, and also they are clicking on merchant tab 10,000 times. Okay. In the same way, we will capture information like register merchant, how many users are registered in the merchant. Okay. Suppose 8,000 only. Okay. So 60 users in a week time are launching application one time, sometimes okay, say 1,000 or 5,000, 500 times. Then they are logging in, they are validating, okay, they are accessing merchant page 10,000 times in a week. Okay, but out of 10,000, only 8,000 times a merchant is registered by 60. This is our volumetric. Okay, so it gives you an idea about the volume in your current application. Okay, and also you will get information the transaction type. You see, this is a daily basis, this is a weekly basis. Okay, so this information you have. Okay, this is a very important part. Once you capture this information, then only you will go for the workload modeling and script preparation. This information is available, then we have to see how our load model is prepared. Let me copy load model here only. Okay, so in load model, okay, just let me know if you have any query about volumetric capture. Okay, actually volumetric is nothing but all the queries that we have asked in NFRPs. Okay, so you just based on that NFR gathering, you prepared this volumetric, and if you did not receive this information in NFR, then what you will do, you will just ask your operation team to share this information. Okay, the transaction that you already considered for performance testing and how many times they are going to be performed in how many times they are performing in production environment. So your operation team will capture this information and will share with you. Okay, this may be a interview question. Okay, who will provide you this information? Okay, the answer will be operation team. Okay, once you have this, you have transactions. Okay, you have a volumetric name, you have throughput, you have user load, and you have the occurrences. Once you have this, first you have to change this part into daily basis. Okay, let me copy this. This is nothing but your table. So what we will do, we'll capture this information and divide it by 7. That gives you daily information. Okay. But in WLM, okay, for WLM is prepared for 1 hour, right? Okay, so we are going to prepare a workload model for load test. Okay, and the load test we perform for 1 hour. Okay, this we have transaction name. I'll take all the transaction names from here. Users, this is nothing but now user. I hope we all are on same page. Can you guys confirm, please? Yeah, okay. Okay. Now we have throughput hits per hour. Okay. So I'll take this column as this iteration per user that I have to identify. So what I will do, I'll just divide this from number of users. So I'll see iteration per user per hour. Okay. Not think time. Again, we'll go to our application. For launch, we just hit the URL. Okay, and it got launched. That means there is no steps involved in launch transaction. So our think time is 0 seconds. Okay, and I hope you guys are aware with the think time and pacing. Okay, so this is the think time. So for our revision purpose, the a pause between two action of a transaction is think time. Okay, and a pause between two iteration is pacing. Now SLA, if we have SLA, suppose it is a existing application. So we have SLA and we have SLA of 2 seconds. Okay. That means in 2 seconds, if 100 users are accessing the site, they should be able to get the page, main landing page in 2 seconds. Okay. So this is the SLA and the total execution time. This workload model is for an hour. Okay. So we have 3600 seconds in an hour. This is the total execution time. Okay. Now this is an hour and this is for a day. Okay. And we discuss in a day we consider 8 hours. Right. So if I divide this value by 8, so we'll get the data for an hour. Okay. So what I'll do, I take this information. Okay, and this is the head. So we have to achieve. So let me put it here. Okay. So now we have SLA, we have iteration, and we have total number of execution hours. So we have to calculate pacing. Okay. Just to calculate the pacing, we need to understand first thing. Our execution is going to happen for 3600 times. Okay. And we have a total think time of 0 seconds. Okay. And okay. And we have total number of iterations 10. So what we'll do, we will go to on pacing speed. Okay. So take total number of execute. Okay, so we just take total number of time, and I will subtract think time from this. Okay, and I will divide it with the number of iteration. So 360 seconds is pacing for this. Okay, now based on the iteration, it is changed for other transactions. This transaction is going to have 8 seconds only. So 450 seconds spacing for this. Again 450 seconds spacing for this. 22 seconds for assessing add merchant page and 27 seconds for registering a merchant. Okay. So once we put this spacing, okay, based on the think time and based on the total number of iteration, so we will be able to achieve this throughput. Okay, it might be a bit confusing today. Okay, but tomorrow when we have on Monday when we have the application walkthrough, okay, and Splunk dashboard, then we will update volumetric and the workload model again. Okay, so you will be having a good idea about it and you will be able to do it confidently. So I'd say any question, any doubt till now? Now you can unmute yourself and ask the question. Okay, silence means no doubt. Okay, so guys, I'll update this document and will share with you uh, sometimes in afternoon or evening today. Okay, so in next session, we will be covering something from this part. So we will see the application walkthrough. Okay, so all the functionality we will cover, and we will see how we are going to record the script in JMeter. So I would request you please configure JMeter in your laptop so that you can start scripting for the scenario. Okay, and after that we'll not after that, actually before that we will update our volumetrics based on this application. Then we will prepare a workload model. Okay, in next 20-25 minutes on next session, and after that we will quickly move to JMeter part and start recording this script. Okay, so once we will be in the scripting phase, we will discuss about the challenges that you will be facing during the scripting and the solution on that. Some interview questions are related to that scenario, and also the recommendations for JMeter execution. Okay, then let's wrap up the session for today. Thank you everyone for joining the session. Have a happy weekend.